Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about influencers, and I know what you're gonna probably think or say to yourself, haven't we talked about this enough? Isn't this kind of a subject that doesn't really need more elaboration? And while I might agree with that to some respects, I think there's something to be said because there was a segment on Bill Maher's show where he comments on influencers, and I just have some things to say about that. Now, you guys know I am the first to be critical about influencers and sometimes their disingenuity, the scams, the feeling more important than everything and everyone else, really. But I do think that in this particular time, surprisingly enough, I might be defending some of them. Before we do that though, I did want to thank today's sponsor, which is Scentbird. Scentbird is a fragrance subscription that gives you the opportunity to shop from over 600 brands. The cool thing too is that it's flexible, so if you want to skip a month, you can with no penalty. It can be hard to commit to buying a full-sized bottle of a new perfume, so Scentbird allows you to get a 30-day supply so then you can decide what fragrances are right for you. You can also upgrade to receive 2 to 3 products each month. Scentbird also pairs you with fragrances you're likely to enjoy by including a quiz. Based on your preferences, previous purchases, and quiz answers, Scentbird will ensure to pair you with what you like. This month, I received Promenade sur le Rocher by Grâce de Monaco, Align by Good Habit, and Blush by Rebecca Minkoff. Personally, my favorite is Align by Good Habit. Make sure to use code READYTOGLARE to get 30% off your first month at Scentbird, meaning it's only $11 for your first month. Additionally, Scentbird is also now available in Canada. Thank you, Scentbird, for sponsoring this video. To be noted, I will link the segment down below, but I also might be cutting out pieces that I don't think are relevant, so if you want to see the full thing, look at the link down below.
And finally, new rule, someone has to break it to America's travel vloggers that the part of life where you're retired and joyride around the country, that's supposed to come after the working for a living part, not before. Now, in recent weeks, the country has been transfixed with the story of a young woman murdered while traveling in a van with her boyfriend. And while too much attention has already been paid, this case has taught me a few things. First, that Nancy Grace is still alive. And second, how extensive is this movement of young hipsters rejecting the dreary working life of us normies to instead explore the country in a van, which I found very odd. This is what retirees do. They get an RV and visit our nation's many historic outlet malls. It's what Clarence Thomas and his hideous wife do for kicks.
Now, one thing I gotta say I find really funny is after he says his quote-unquote jokes, he just you can tell that he thinks he's being really, really hilarious, which to me is funny because I don't find any of them really all that funny. So just seeing someone kind of pat themselves on the back figuratively is just something else. Aside from that, I also don't understand the point trying to be made here because let me preface. In every single group, in every single career, there will be people who are pieces of shit. There will be people who think they're better than everyone else. There will always be a group of people who just suck in every field. But the fact that he's kind of poking fun at these people for rejecting a life they don't want, basically. So these are people who don't want to work a 9 to 5. They took the dive and they're doing it. And I just don't see how that's bad in any way. On the contrary, should they just accept a life they don't want? Should they just do what they're supposed to do? If they have the means and, the possibility to live the life they want to live, I think it would be ridiculous to go to a 9 to 5 knowing full well that's not what you want to do, knowing you have the option to do something else. And aside from that, I also think it's ridiculous to say, oh, traveling around the country is something you do once you've already been in the workforce. And it's like, there is a new workforce here, and people might not like it, but content creation, influencing, whatever you want to call it, that's a new type of workforce, and those people are working. As much as there are some influencers we might not like who seem to not put in any effort, there is still work being done there. Maybe not by certain influencers, but that's a different story. But this complete rejection of a new lifestyle that isn't really hurting anyone or doing anything negative is just too much, in my opinion.
You want to emulate them? What's next? Taking up shooting birds on the ground like Dick Cheney? But of course, the whole point of van life is to film your travels and put them on YouTube. You're not a hobo, you're a content provider. Let other people work stupid jobs like nurse or teacher. You figured out a way to monetize fucking off.
To be noted, I also don't like how Gabby Petito was brought into any of this, because van life is its own topic, and I don't know, I did not feel good about that. It felt demeaning in some way, and maybe that's just me being overly sensitive, but I just didn't think Gabby Petito had to be brought into this at all, because van life has been a trending thing on YouTube for a very long time. So bringing up someone's death in order to kind of segue into that topic, that's a no from me. But aside from that, yeah, imagine monetizing fucking off. That's awesome. You're basically traveling whatever country you're in, you're showing what you're doing, and for a lot of people, that's the dream life. So I don't understand what there is so funny to be doing that. I don't understand what there is to really be critiqued about doing that. And I also have to note, the reason that people can do that is because others are interested in that content. As much as you want to make fun of these content creators for fucking off and doing their own thing, the reason they can do that is because there is a demand to see that type of content. And I find that personally interesting. Haven't we all at some point watched a show about someone who travels the world, or like National Geographic type shows? I'm not comparing National Geographic in this, but I'm just saying they are parallel, and this is a new version to do it. But the thing is that this time the person you're traveling with, you have some kind of connection with, because most of these people do show their personalities. And I don't know what the issue is. I just don't understand why they're supposed to take jobs they hate to work hours that are too long for a pay that's too low to just go home and fucking hate their lives. I don't understand what the incentive is there.
Yeah, you and everybody else in your generation. According to the LA Times, content creators are the fastest growing type of small business in the U.S. By one estimate, over 50 million people worldwide now consider themselves to be online creators or influencers. When we used to ask kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? They'd say, firefighter, astronaut. Now most 60-year-olds would probably say, I want to be Instagram famous, bitch. And I guess why not? The supposedly media-savvy millennials and Gen Zers really do buy stuff just because some ding-dong holds it up on Instagram. They laugh at boomers buying crap on QVC, but you're doing the same thing. Grandma's buying Tupperware, you're selling mascara to each other. The only difference is she's suffering from dementia. What's your excuse?
Now, there are points that I have agreed with in the past and still do agree with. For example, I think that any person who wants to go into content creation of sorts should have a backup plan. But I think of that with pretty much any job, but especially jobs that rely on social media platforms that can go down, like Instagram a couple days ago with WhatsApp and Facebook, they all just went down. There is the possibility that one day, as unrealistic as it may sound now, they're just gonna disappear. So you don't want to make your entire income all off of Instagram when the algorithm might shadow ban you. Instagram might go down, it might be sold, rules might be changed. You don't want to rely on one simple thing. And I think of that for the majority of jobs generally, that you should have a plan B of, okay, if this job doesn't work out, if I get fired, what would I do? I definitely agree with that. I personally feel a little bit uncomfortable about children aspiring to being content creators, period, mainly because I'm worried they won't have that backup plan. But other than that, I don't really see a problem with it. And aside from that, I think what the main underlying point here is the reason people want to become content creators, Instagrammers, whatever the hell it is that you become, in most cases, your own boss. So you set your own times, you decide when you're going on vacation, you decide everything for yourself. And that's something that I think a lot of people not only want, but resent from other jobs. The fact that you only have a very limited amount of days off. The fact that if you're sick, a lot of the times there might be repercussions at your job simply because you're sick and can't come into work. So the fact that people are gravitating towards these kinds of jobs aren't just 6-year-olds that see some famous vlogger and are like, I want to be him, but it's more the question of, I want to be able to take a day off without really having to tell anyone anything. I want to be able to set my own hours. So then in the rest of the hours, a lot of people, by the way, have another side hustle, but in the rest of the hours, if I don't want to do anything, I don't do anything. And the reason this is happening is because a lot of millennials and generally young people find themselves in really shit positions. When I was working as a teacher at a university, I was teaching first year composition. I was teaching it by myself. I had to come up with a teaching schedule by myself. I had no help, no support, nothing of the sort. And when you think of a job like that, you think that's a pretty big responsibility, right? Because if I fuck up, basically all of these kids are going to be behind in the next years when they go to their next university class. And I took this very seriously because I didn't want to fuck them up. My pay, which ended up actually getting the school into trouble because it was illegal. Our pay of all of us teachers who were also enrolled in the master's program was $600 a month. If you calculate how much $600 a month gets you in California, in Southern California, that literally didn't pay half of my rent. Not even half. And then imagine adding gas, insurance, things like that. So being in situations like that pushes a lot of people to not want to be in a role that is so dictated by someone else, and that also you're getting lowballed for, because I literally lost money just paying gas for my car to go to and fro. So when we talk about people taking these types of content creation jobs, it's talking about a deeper problem in the system. It's not just someone who wants an ego boost. It's talking about the fact that a lot of jobs are just not paying, especially entry-level people or young people, whatever, enough to actually be able to survive without getting a second or third job. When people make fun of this, it pisses me off because we're pretending that there's not a bigger problem there. Now, if you want to watch the rest of the video, I'll link it down below. Frankly, I think he's made his points clear enough that he just thinks all of this is stupid and there's no value there. It's disappointing to me because I would hope for a more nuanced conversation about this, about the pros and cons. Framing it as people who don't give a fuck and don't want to work and don't want to do anything is not only insulting, but just entirely untrue. Anyway, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.